Change is the language of the universe. Um, Everything is constantly changing. Nothing is really fixed in time. Of course, cycles, we can think about the seasons, they come and they go, but nature is always changing. When you think about space, everything is expanding right now as we speak. Um, Everything around us is always changing, is always in movement. It's changing a state, going from one state to another. And since as humans, we are also a part of nature, then for us, change is something that we need to become consciously aware of. What I mean by that is that for a lot of people, change is extremely hard. I'm saying this from personal experience, right? When I started my transformation journey, that's really what it was about. It was about changing. It was about understanding that I had subconscious beliefs and a programming that was false and that needed to be changed. And that means that I had to go through a whole identity shift. And it was really difficult because it means that you have to give up something that was comfortable, that was familiar, even though you know that it wasn't, I wasn't really myself. And I had to work on that. It wasn't easy. It was really hard. Change is really hard. It really is. Our ego likes us to stay in our comfort zone. Our ego likes us to remain the same way because it is a survival mechanism. So as a survival mechanism, it understands very well that if, for example, if you know your neighborhood, well, it's going to be able to keep you safe in that way. And the thing is, your ego is just trying to keep you safe. It's not helping you expand. Sometimes you have to leave our comfort zone. I have an example, for example, like technology, right? So many people were resistant to, computers or smartphones because it's different. They had to learn how to use these new devices. But you have to accept that change because nowadays everything is online. Someone who is refusing to change, they're not going to be able to, I would say, join society, right? If everyone tried to just do things their own way instead of accepting that change, it would be really difficult to really be a part of society and, use technology in a way that is useful. Change is also hard because it really shows how things that seemed solid at first probably isn't as solid as we thought. It shows that we might have a very set values and beliefs, and to change those is really hard because this is like the solid foundation on which we are living our lives, and to have to change that completely is changing yourself. If you have like a habit that you want to change, well, that habit in a way, it's something that you're attached to, it's a part of you. And yeah, change is really important. It means you have to sacrifice something in order for something else to take place. It means taking steps towards that every single day. And it is quite difficult. Sometimes we tend to refuse change because it's uncomfortable. You know, we're doing something that's new for the first time. It makes us feel like a beginner all over again. It makes us feel like we're not as powerful in the moment as we thought we were. Having to change makes us feel really surprised, and we realize that it means that something that used to work in the past, that worked probably once, it's not working anymore, and it needs to change. It needs to evolve. It needs to improve. It needs to take a different form. Change also comes from within, right? There's this thing that we usually hear that, you know, sometimes when we see someone who needs help, sometimes you'll hear people say, you know, you can't force people to change. It needs to come from them. That's really true, because at the end of the day, we have free will, which is a really powerful tool. We have free will. So it means that you don't have to change if you don't want to. You don't have to change a habit. You don't have to change a routine or change your comfort zone. You don't have to do any of those things. It's more about understanding behind the change, what is the purpose of it and the goal, and making that sacrifice to going through discomfort for it to happen. So that's why change is hard, because it means that you're going to choose to experience discomfort. And at the end of the day, we have free will. No one can ever force you to do anything at all. Even if it's for your own good, it has to come from within, because you have to be a willing participant in your change. And that is really complicated. You know, someone can't really force you to do anything in general. And when you're a willing participant in your own change, I feel like that is even easier, because since, like I said, change is the language of the universe. If you surrender and you're willing to do it, then it's like all around you, you'll see that the universe, the energies, the people around you are willing to help. That's when other people can help you. You have to make the first step, though. You have to make the first step to make that change happen. And you have to understand that change is a part of life. Things change all the time. All the time. Every area of our life is going to change. That's really just the way life is. Everything is always moving. Things that were solid, things that seemed like they were going to last forever in your life, a career, a relationship, living somewhere, all of those things are going to change. They might not change tomorrow, they might change in a few years, but it's going to happen. And what change brings, it brings this idea of an ending, right? But it's important to understand that if something ends, it's not a bad thing. It is just a transition to a different state. The same thing is going to still be there. It's just going to have a different way of expressing itself. So that means that when we resist change, we resist the natural process of things, the cycles of death and rebirth. And it's really important to understand that, as a species, we have evolved so much. When I think about technology, I feel like today with the like the age of the Aquarius, like this new era that we're entering, this new version of Earth that is coming, I have this feeling that the economy is going to have to change. The way we make money, the way we think about money is going to have to change. You know, I think when I think about capitalism, we have reached a point of, I would say, no return. And I think everyone is starting to awaken to that. And we have to figure out different ways of having an economy that benefits us and doesn't harm the planet. So it means that we have to change our habits, we have to change our mindsets. And of course, the change has to be something that we consent to. And that's the thing. Change actually, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And the more you let go and surrender to change and let it happen, the more you're going to see that it's not going to be as hard as you think. It's not going to be as difficult. In fact, the more you do it, the more you're going to understand and move with the cycles of the universe and move in a way that's in flow and in a way that, I guess by design, this is the way it's supposed to be. I feel like sometimes the pain with change usually comes from our resistance to it more than the pain itself or the process itself. It's more about the fear of the unknown, the unwillingness to let go, and the attachment, because we were attached so strongly to something or someone or to a job, and all of our life was around it. And to now have to change it, it's really, it creates this sense of losing control. But we need to understand that that is just the ego. That's the ego and its defense mechanism. And that's a thing that's interesting, because as humans, we have evolved and changed a lot, but it's almost like the more animal part of our brain is kind of still archaic. It doesn't necessarily fit life on Earth nowadays. So being able to master that and understanding that the concept of change, it's going to be life-changing for sure. Because once you understand that, you're going to be able to apply it in so many areas of your life. And you will just have to surrender and let it happen.